Talk to you about Rum and Bones Second Tide. I have a very fond a fond history of this game. I had the first edition of Rum and Bones. I did not back it. I actually won it in a competition. So CMON used to have a podcast with these two dudes, and I think I was one of the like five people who listened to it. I don't know, but I loved it. It was awesome. Anyway, they ran a contest. I won this game and a couple other games, and I was thrilled. So I played Rum and Bones, the first edition, and I absolutely loved it. Super fun. I'm not going to talk about the first edition. I'm going to talk about the second edition because it is even better. So what this is, it is a supposed to emulate like a MOBA game where you are there are guys just kind of on a line going towards the center thing, and then you're controlling heroes, and so that's what it's kind of emulating. And I've actually never played those kind of games like League of Legends or others. But what this is each faction, each player plays a faction, and you are trying to get the most points. It's first to 8 points wins. 8 points, 10 points. It's a certain amount of points. It's not a lot of points, but you each have a ship, and you are controlling a hero, and you bring them out onto the ships, and you're going jumping from ship to ship, and each hero has their own abilities. So think of these ships as a grid, right? They're big ships, but they do have spaces. And there are three specific spaces on here where your crew spawn on, and your heroes will spawn on, and they will spawn there, and then your crew will just go in a line towards the other ship, and those you don't control. All you do is you control when they actually activate. Your heroes, on the other hand, get a certain amount of actions each turn, and they can do different things. Each hero is completely different. They have different abilities, but essentially they will attack by rolling dice. They will have other abilities that are specific to them. Each faction is completely different. Each ship has different objectives on them, and those could be like the mast or the deck gun or something else that your opponent can come and attack, and those give them points. And also coins are used to upgrade your heroes, so your heroes all have upgradable abilities that you can decide to spend those coins on, so they can become stronger over the course of the game. And that's how you get points, and you get points by also killing a hero on the other team as well. So it plays super quick back and forth. The changes from the first to the second are amazing. In the first edition, on your turn, you would play every hero of yours, and you have about three or four heroes, and then you would also activate your deck gun and your crew all at once, and then it would be the other person's turn. So a turn could take like 10 minutes, and that's not even an exaggeration. It just takes a long time to kind of manage all that. But in this one, they alternated it where you activate a hero, then your opponent activates a hero, and you go back and forth until everything's been activated. And they added the upgradable abilities, and it's just fantastic. It's not a heavy game at all, and it does take a long time. It takes us about probably 2 hours to play a full game, and it's also one of those games where it could be 6 months before I play it again, but I don't have to read the rules again. It's pretty straightforward. And I love how CMON does their little like rule summary on the back of their books, and they work just wonderfully. And it's fun to just have these big ships, these amazing miniatures. I think between the base game, I did kickstart the second tide, and I got a couple of the expansions with it. So I think I have a total of like six or eight different crews that you can play, and they're all super different. Some crews or some factions have like one big ship, some have two smaller ships, or some have like three super small ships, and so they are all different orientations of what you're playing. I've only played 2-player. You technically can play up to 6, where you're playing on teams of 3. I don't think that would be as fun, but as a 2-player game, it's just a quick back and forth, and you're just engaged for that all that time. And man, I just love it every time I play it. And when I haven't played it in a while, I get jonesing to play it.
Sure.
So it's just super fun. I don't know if you've seen this or had any experience with it.
I've seen it. I've attempted to back it. Never do. So I'm curious, like you said that turns take like 10 minutes to play, but you said it's fast. Like,
sorry, in the first edition they did, because you're playing all of your heroes all at once.
Sure.
And then you also your deck, but in this one it's more back and forth, and so your turns are super quick.
Why couldn't you house rule it where in the first edition you could just go back and forth between each hero, or is there something that doesn't allow that?
Actually, that's a good question. I don't think there was anything that didn't allow that. But I didn't even think about that in the first edition. I probably only played the first edition twice before the second one was on Kickstarter. And I do a thing where if there's like a new edition or a new version of the game coming out, I don't play the original, even if I have it until the new one comes out, just to kind of have like that's kind of what's probably going to happen with Root, where I'm probably not going to play it again until the expansion comes out this year sometime or next year or whenever.
Yeah.
And so that way when it does come out, it's going to feel like a new game again. So I don't remember a ton of the first one. I just know that this is significantly better.
Yeah, looking at the componentry, again, CMON never fails to be able to just have the production quality on the miniatures, the illustrations, everything is top notch. It's really curious in terms of there hasn't. What other games are like very MOBA-esque?
So when this one came out, there were actually a couple more that were out on Kickstarter. I know one got canceled, but there are others that are trying to do this same thing. I kind of felt like Mechs versus Minions was kind of similar, where it just had these small bad guys just kind of automated their movement, right? And you're controlling the heroes going around it.
Yeah, a little bit.
And that's a stretch. But I don't think I've played anything else kind of like that.
Have you ever heard of ELO Darkness?
No. What's that?
That was a Kickstarter 2 years ago, back in 2017. That was a combination of like Magic the Gathering and like a MOBA game, which I had my eye on. I ended up not backing it just because I was like in that phase where I'd like back so much and I was like, all right, I got to cut back. It actually looks like it's delivering to backers this month. So it's been a whole process. It must have hit some delays the estimated delivery was May 2018 and it's now January 2019. They're starting to deliver it. But I mean, it's Kickstarter, it happens. But it looks like that's a game in which it involves a lot of cars instead of miniatures to be able to play in a very MOBA-esque like boardscape that I'm looking at right now. So that's pretty interesting if you're in that type of sphere. But I just want to say, as far as like outside of CMON, I can't think. I mean, it's very distinctive with the lanes that you have your top lane, mid lane, and bottom lane essentially. And, with everybody having their own unique set of powers and the minions that kind of just go straight in there and don't really do anything. Yeah. Looks like, I'm just surprised with how popular they still are. It doesn't seem like there hasn't been too many people in a mainstream board gaming publishing culture to produce something more like that, to my knowledge. But hey, it's all good. Rum and Bones scenes, again, it's just it's cool that they decided to go with the pirate theme versus the good old fantasy theme. That makes things really interesting and things. But yeah,
and it works. I feel like every time I play a different faction, they feel super different. Every faction also has a deck of cards that you can play called the Tide deck. And you get like a hand of those, and they just do different things, and they trigger at different times, like if you're being attacked or if you're attacking or if something happens on the board, or it's just things that kind of change things up as well. So really each faction does feel completely different. And I actually do this Darkness game from Kickstarter. I remember that when it was on Kickstarter, just from looking at that box cover.
Yeah,
so that one does look cool as well.
Yeah, ELO Darkness, game by Regi Games. And it has this really big like knight with gold armor holding a broadsword kind of charging at you, looking all intense. It was the illustration stuck out. Like it definitely has shelf presence in in a shelf for selling at a store. Definitely would want to see what it's more about. Both these games look like dope though. I don't know if I'd buy them just for the pure sake of how much money it is. I imagine CMON, you're looking at least 60, 70, 80 bucks. But I definitely would give it a shot if, we ever were to meet one day.
One day. That's funny. A buddy of mine just asked me if we were ever going to meet, and I was like, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either.
I have no idea. Yeah, who knows? I wonder if that would take kind of the charm out of this a tiny bit. Like, it's like this weird like air of mystery.
Two passionate board gamers who met one time, and then we realized that the spark wasn't there anymore.
Well, we decided we had a good run.
Yeah, and we decided right there that it just wasn't meant to be anymore. Shook hands, and now we're doing nothing.
Oh, that's really funny. Anyway, highly recommend Rum and Bones Second Tide by